Hello everyone, it's Seda, and today we will talk about the Bloom's taxonomy, revising the Bloom's taxonomy, and then the critics, alternatives, and the modern frameworks, modern perspectives. What can we use instead of Bloom taxonomy? What kind of methods can we say, actually? Let's revise what is Bloom's taxonomy as we know. We already talked about it. As you know, it has six different parts, and these six steps also separate into two groups, the higher orders and the lower order. We generally start with the remember part because um, it's contain the much more than the others, we can say, yeah. It's remember in this part, students try to recall the facts, the knowledge they have get before it. And in the second part, understand. In this part, they explain the concepts that they learned through the lesson. And in the applying part, they use the information. And then in the higher orders, the students try to analyze, they connect ideas, opinions, and evaluation. In this part, they justify a stand. I try to explain it in just one or two words as shortly as we talk about it before it. And the last part is the creation part. They try to produce original work. And as you can see, it is going to more like mechanical, meaningful, and production part. Um, the the stage is going up to creation part. The efforts they spend is getting much more, and their creation, of course. So it's a hierarchical frameworks moving from foundational to complex creation. So what about critical perspectives? Is the pyramid flawed? It's examined by some critics. And the first critic actually is the false hierarchy, they say. And non-linear learning rarely happens in a straight line from remember to create. It is a messy, or we can say it is interconnected web. And creative leaves the knowledge, of course. Engaging in high-level creation often compels students to learn the basic during the process. And the glass ceiling, treating lower levels as rigid prerequisites can trap struggling students in boring facts loops. In real-world application, professionals rarely memorize a manual before starting. They analyze and create while learning facts, as you know. And oversimplification, cognitive processes overload continuously. You cannot analyze without remembering. These critics are, can we call these critics? Yes, with this name. False heroes, they say. And the other critic is pedagogy versus assessment. In the lesson, teacher use teaching care about pedagogy, but in the assessment part, we use again testing evaluation. So what is the matter? What is the point of using this Bloom's taxonomy, they say? Because misuse of tool, Bloom designed taxonomy to classify test questions, not to sequence daily teaching. It is not just about the lessons. It is cover overall learning process or even assessment process. And front-leading error teachers often mistakenly lecture on facts or weeks before allowing application. And the other critic is boredom, disengagement, saving the fun stuff, the creating part, for the end means students lose interest early on. As you know, the duration of the students, especially the young learners, is really limited. The span of their concentration is between 10 or 15 minutes. I'm talking like a optimistic, of course. It can be even worse. So they say that the creation part is the last stage. So until we get that stage, students start to get bored. Their concentration is going to lose. So does it mean that they cannot produce something? They say. This is the question. And rigidity, it fosters a checklist mentality where teachers feel they must tick off every lower level first. Like it's like how can we say the things that we have to do, tick off every lower. And the verb trap, the create part again, doesn't guarantee a rigorous task. It doesn't guarantee. So when the students start to produce something, they say, because the lesson is going to end. Okay. The other critic, cultural biases, cognitive isolation, separates, Bloom's taxonomy separates mind from heart and body, and ignoring the holistic nature of Eastern philosophies. And individual versus communal values individual cognitive output over communal wisdom and social responsibility. The valuation of mastery. In some cultures, remembering is a high form of mastery, not the lowest, you know, around the world, of course. Maybe we are not, we haven't seen such things, but the other cultures, some of the other cultures say uh, remembering is the hardest part because they think that the taxonomy start the other side not to remember from the critical part, the creation part, sorry. And they say we are creating something, we are producing, we are analyzing, we are understanding. And then after a week later, for example, we will remember it. If we can remember at that part the things that we learn, that we create, that we use or evaluate, it means that okay, you understand, you learn it. And linear time reflects a Western line view of progress, potentially ignoring cyclical or holistic understanding. Missing dimensions, yes, dimension lacks categories for caring, character, or spirit, treating them as non-learning factors. And okay, now let's see the modern alternatives. What can we use instead of Bloom's taxonomy? What can teachers use? Okay. Firstly, Webb's depth of knowledge. It calls shortly like DOK. And in this alternative, there's four-stage recall, reproduction, skills concepts, strategic thinking, and extending thinking. In the recall part, rote memory or simple procedures, there is a definitive right or wrong answer. Label the parts of the eye, for example. And skills concepts. Using information or making decisions in this part involves mental steps like comparing or organizing. Compare the eye to the camera. As you see, is changing the sentence or imperative sentence. Strategic thinking. It requires reasoning, planning, and evidence, more than one possible answer. Argue which is better for capturing emotion, as an example again. And extended thinking, um, complex reasoning over time, investigation and synthesis of multiple sources. And design an if optical device. Here, this example. And there is another one, it's solo taxonomy, grading understanding. And it has some stage too. Pre-structural, unistructural, multi-structural, relational, extended, abstract. In the pre-structural, they say miss the point. The student doesn't understand the task or uses irrelevant information. And in the unistructural, one idea. The student focuses on one single relevant aspect but misses the big picture. And in the multistructural, the list completely knows several facts but treats them as unlinked items like a grocery list. And in the relational part, it is connected with all other parts that they get. Links facts together to explain why or how. Try to get a, logic. Sees the structure. And in the extend and abstract, big picture, generalize the concept to a new area or abstract principle. So when we compare them, this is a short version actually. It's really good to compare the Bloom's taxonomy, dog and solo taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy, the primary focus is the action. But in the dog, the primary focus is the mental effort. And in the solo taxonomy, the primary focus is response quality, the outcome, output. And in the Bloom's taxonomy, as you know, the glitch is hard verbs can be easy tasks. In the Webstock, fixes loop, context matters more than verbs. And the solo taxonomy fixes grading, distinguish facts from connections. Best use case, the best part of Bloom taxonomy, it's general syllabus objectives. It's general. In the web stock, the best part is the test and the assessment part, and the solo taxonomy, it's grading part. It's really important, I think, grading and progress. We say it's formative, yes, a little bit formative. And the key concept of Bloom's taxonomy is the hierarchy of thinking skills. But in Webstock, it's context difficulty, and in the solo taxonomy, it's connecting ideas. Yes, this is the summary of the modern perspectives, actually. Okay, so here, Bloom's taxonomy activities. I gave this prompt to AI. With this information, I want to create the Bloom's taxonomy for students on the present perfect. Create one activity for each level of the taxonomy. Here are the results. This framework breaks down the learning process for present perfect tense into 6 hierarchical levels as in Bloom's taxonomy. It is designed to move students from broad memorization of verbs, verb forms to complex storytelling and self-expression. Yeah, as usual, it's going from mechanical to productive. Okay. And in the remembering part, AI suggests that as a cognitive process, of course, here we can see cognitive processes, learning objectives, and key questions. In the remembering part, the process is the recalling facts and basic concepts. And the objective is recalling irregular past participles, of course, if they don't know this, and the sentence structure. Key question. This we can call these questions as a CCQs. What is the part of past participle of go? They are trying to make them remember, yeah. In the understanding part, cognitive process, it explain ideas or concepts. Objective, it distinguish between specific past simple or indefinite past. And the key question is why do we use have visited instead of visited? Apply parts process is using information in new situations. Learning objective is asking and answering questions about life experiences. And key question can be start, have you ever? In the analyzing part, the cognitive process is drawing connections among ideas. Objectives is examine tests to see how tenses shifted to create meaning. And the key question can be again, why did your speaker switch tenses here? We are going to do an evaluation. The process is justifying a stand or a decision. An objective is student will be able to judge the correctness or appropriateness of a sentence in a specific context. A key question, does this sentence make sense in this situation? And in the creation part, the last part, it's producing new or original work. Um, and the objective is construct a personal narrative or feature plan using the tense. And we can see the details here. Here are the activity, the participle scramble. Create a set of index cards. Half have the base verb eat, see, be, and the other half have the past participle eaten, seen, been, and gone. Here the task uh, for the first part, students work in pairs or small groups, place all cards face down. Students play a memory, flipping two cards at a time to find matching pair. And the constraint to keep the pair, the student must say the pair, let go, gone, okay. In the understanding part, the focus is grasping the concept of indefinite past. This is not important. And specific past. Activity is the timeline detectives. The AI says gives students a worksheet with empty timelines thrown on it, past, present, and future tenses. And as an action, read out sentences. Students must mark the action on the timeline. Like in the sentence A, I visited Paris 2010. And in the B, I have visited Paris. What is the difference, as it is asked, I think, here? And the discussion in this part, a teacher can ask students to explain why sentence B is floating because the time is not mentioned, and the experience what matters. And applying port activities, classroom mingle, human bingo, create for bingo crit. In each square, write a prompt like has lived in another country, has eaten sushi like an experience, has broken a bone. And the task is students stand up and mingle. They must ask questions using correct structure. Have you ever broken a bone? The rule of these activities, if a class may answer yes, I have, they sign that square. The first students to get a line signature wins. The follow-up for these activities, the winner must report back using the third person. Maria has eaten sushi and Ali has lived in Spain. And in the analyze part, AI say the focus is distinguishing why one tense is chosen over another in a mixed text. Activities, interview analyzing, the name of it also analyzing. The task is let's provide a written transcript of a job interview. It can be or in audio clip. There are two people, interviewer and a candidate. There is some dialogues between them. I see you have a work at Google. It used present perfect. Candidate used past tense. Interview used present perfect. And candidate used past tense. Students must highlight present perfect verbs in green and past simple verbs in blue. The teacher can ask as a activity. The question in pairs they must answer. Why did the candidate switch to blue, for example? Okay, and the last two parts of the activities. Evaluation. Activities the context judge. Present a scenario and two potential sentences. Students must act as the judge and decide which sentence fits the reality. Scenario, the door is open. Mom is angry. The keys are missing. The option A and the option B, two options. Maybe third option can be. I lost my keys. I have lost my keys. What is the difference between these two sentences, for example? And the decision, students must choose option B, of course. Um, the justification, students must explain why option A implies it just happened in the past, option B implies a connection to the present. The keys are still gone now, which is why mom is angry. And level 6, creation part, the last part, focus of this part is producing a unique personal output using the tense to express identity. Can you see, even when I am, explaining all of these things until the end of the lesson, after all of these activities, students cannot, create something with enough energy. Their concentration is gone, their energy is gone, you know. So I don't think it's really useful. Producing a unique, yes, I talk about it. The last part is the bucket list presentation. The concept is a bucket list is a list of things you want to do before you kick the bucket, but it's also a record of what you have already done. Students create a poster divided into two columns: my achievements and my dreams, two columns. In my achievement parts, they write what they have done. They write 5 sentences about their life experiences using, of course, present perfect. And in the dreams part, they again write 5 sentences using negative form of present perfect. Yeah, students present their poster to the class, sharing their life story and etc. Okay, so as a conclusion, for my opinion, I agree. While I was searching about it, I agree especially the creation part is why it is at the last part. And while I was reading about students cannot have enough energy for the doing such activities, evaluation, creation, because the stage is getting harder and harder, but their concentration and energy is getting lower and lower. So there is a complexion in this taxonomy for me. So instead of making stages, we can use some part of it. We don't have to use all of this, right? Maybe we can use remember and skip the applying part and skip the creation parts, because the between the two states can be happen naturally, right? You don't have to use all the time all of the states, because it will be really boring for me too. And in my lessons also, I don't use all of them too. I really care the remembering part, and also I agree the remembering part. There was a modern alternative. Let's see. It is say that where is it? No, it is critic. Mm, okay, whatever. I couldn't find right now. Um, yeah, that's all. Thank you for listening to me. See you next time.